Welcome back, one and all. Dolson here on the desk to start off set number 2 alongside me as well, Nick Pretty Hair Keogh. Nick, we hit him with the flippy flop, and we have a good set here, I think, for set number 2. We have Envy, we have Renegades, two teams who lost yesterday, and I think a lot of question marks in the air probably for both sides.
Absolutely. I think, I got the chance to speak with Shadow a little bit earlier in the building. He says they're still feeling good, I think, about the way that they're playing. Their scorecard or slash line isn't the best thing ever, but they are still feeling good, and they still have a good energy about them. That was the thing I kind of wanted to make sure on. In terms of Envy, the team's in a tailspin right now, and we're just sort of left asking the question, how far will they fall?
Right, and again, I think looking at the side of Envy, I mean, we said it at the end of last week, and now we're saying it again this week, is who's the one who's going to step up and kind of flip things around for them? Rock Monkey's a guy who we always look at. He had a huge game on Frog Isle yesterday and went off, and he was the reason they won it in such a big way. They finally stalled things out. He had a big spite here in this game, and he looked good in most of the games despite the loss, but I think they need some other people to step up as well.
The biggest thing is a lot of people just saying, there it is, the hotness for sure. They just seem to be a little bit behind in whatever this meta is. I don't know exactly black and white what I would call it, but that's what the teams and the players are saying about the squad. And I feel like that's somewhat natural for the World Champions. Like, you just literally beat everyone doing this thing.
Right.
How long, I get it, it's hard to kind of adjust, and I'm not saying they're a stubborn team, but it's like, well, I mean, we did beat everyone with this thing. How come it's not working? Maybe we're just playing it wrong. Let's give it another try, but I think at this point you got to say, maybe something does need to change core to our meta and our draft and our play style.
It's a really good way of looking at it, because everyone else is like, all right, what do we change to beat what they just beat us with? And you're right, so I mean, things are, maybe still in a learning stage. Tulky, another guy on the side of Envy, really comfortable on the Inara. He played pretty well yesterday. I mean, it was a really tough game for them. Tulky, I don't really think was necessarily the problem yesterday. He wasn't necessarily the solution, but he played the Fernando, he played the Inara. He's confident getting on the point, and Envy will look to him to do more of the same.
I definitely thought he was one of the bright points yesterday.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Envy. He, especially in this Ice Mines game, playing Fernando, playing a lot of different point tanks. Certainly one of the best to do it, and the point play has been very, very important and very interesting. And that's why I'm curious to see, what does Na'Vi look like coming back playing? Because I really am struggling to form my opinions and my power rankings and where I really think a lot of these teams are sitting until I've seen everyone play everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
First week, Renegades beat Kanga. You're like, okay, that's pretty impressive. And then Kanga come back and look like a completely different team.
Right.
Now we're seeing Envy start to lose to everyone, really. And you're kind of like, all right, well, I mean, Na'Vi lost to them. So where's Na'Vi sitting in all of this? I'm like, I just really don't know where everyone is sitting just yet. And I cannot wait to get to the point where everyone has played everyone and we can feel like more confident in saying, I think, this is the way these standings are really going to be showing.
And you have to look at it as well. In our post-game interview, the Space Station guys were saying that today's matchup was harder than what they faced yesterday, and Renegades played the Knights. The Renegades played the Knights to 7 games yesterday. So that's something you have to look at. Only one guy will really know how the guys on Envy are feeling, and that's their coach, Meta Pusher. So let's send it down to an interview with him.
Well, I'm here with Meta Pusher as Envy's getting set up, right? And as always this quiet, the team's kind of settled down as they're getting ready. And I kind of want to ask you, I mean, it's been a tough last few sets for you and the team. You're coming in not necessarily as successful, I think, as you would like. So what's the mood and atmosphere going into today?
We're just ready to improve and prove that, our performances in these past 3 sets don't define us and that we have the room to grow, that we can get back to where we were.
So one of the things that we've seen out of some of these teams, and a lot of it has been adaptation, specifically since every game so far has been on LAN. How do you feel like the team has been adapting, after the break, after the World Championship, now you're coming in, and all these other teams have stepped up. Do you feel like it's maybe you lagging behind, or maybe just the meta is kind of shifted in a way you didn't expect?
I think it's probably a little bit of everything. Like I don't think we have any issues with understanding the meta. Maybe more the fact that we try and understand metas for each team rather than finding out what's good for us and playing that against all these other teams. We're focused a little bit too much on what other teams are doing rather than ourselves.
And so looking at that, actually yesterday was a big example. You almost always were grabbing the Ruckus. Now you're going up against the Renegades. Is there anything specific for them that you're looking to take away?
Not really.
Not really. Just play your game the best you can. Well, there you have it. Envy looking to come in and win this set big. Let's go back to the desk, then we'll talk to the Renegades.
Meta Pusher, seeming like he's feeling pretty confident. I think those are good words from him. The team's still trying to figure out kind of where they're at, Nick. I think that's a good way of looking at it. He still seems kind of in the zone, still feeling like they have a good shot at a big bounce back here.
A lot of times you can say champions are defined by their losses and how they take those slumps. It's not all high all the time, you know what I mean? There is going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, especially in a game like Paladins when the rules just change sometimes.
Right.
Like imagine being a basketball team. You play with 2 balls. No, maybe the rim's smaller. 3 points are worth 4 points, or maybe 2 points this week. Like, that's the thing about video games and like esports is that these metas change and you have to continue to get better and go with the flow, baby. So I like that mentality, and I like that they're not getting too down on themselves and they still have confidence and they still believe that Envy is an incredible team that can bounce back.
The guy they're going up against, though, one of the big members is Shadow.
And he was feeling confident.
He was feeling confident. He was. You said you spoke to him, or you at least talked to a couple of the guys on their team. They're still feeling lively. They're still feeling good. Shadow and Vocal, kind of the 1-2 punch of this Renegades lineup. Shadow was playing really, really well yesterday. Took him to 7 games. He was a big part of that. They'll look to lean on him some more today, I think.
Whipped out the Mave a little bit too.
That's
I
right.
like that. Certainly was a confident pick, confident pluck for the Renegades. What a game this was here on Frozen Guard. This one really could have went either way. And so that's why I think is part of why the Renegades don't really feel too bad about, you know, the way it went, right? They're like, slight adjustments here. His words were, I was like, bro, that just felt like a cluster on Frozen Guard. What did you guys really do? He's like, well, we were calling for Leon, because she was 1 shot, but somebody was screaming about Khan being lower when he really wasn't, and it just drowned out the Leon calling. Okada kind of rotated back in, got a triple kill, and that was that.
Viral as well, big smile on his face there. A big part of the communication here for the Renegades, and another guy. He had some big plays, I think. I remember on the Maldamba yesterday. He played him in a lot of the games that they had. He was hitting the stuns, he was hitting the Dread Serpents, he was hitting everything really, really well. Truly showing himself to be one of the better supports in this league.
I think Maldamba's and their performances, especially even looking at Metal in that last set, have been a defining factor.
Yes,
big fears need to happen consistently. The stuns are just almost an untapped potential. It's one of the highest skill ceiling things of any of the characters in the game of Paladin. So you can't lean on it too much, but when those are flowing and those are hitting from like mid-range, you're like, ooh, this fight becomes much, much easier.
Well, it's game-changing, kind of in the similar way that like an Evil Mojo is. I mean, you get enough people in one of those CCing ultimates, and you get a support specifically on the Damba who's really feeling confident, really feeling good about it. It changes the game almost entirely, and
certainly
it's something you really have to look out for. On the opposite side, though, we just talked to Meta Pusher, the head coach for Envy. Now we're going to flip it over. We have an interview with Powtek, the head coach for Renegades, standing by.
We keep kicking the DPS players out of the way so we can get these interviews done, but I'm standing here with the coach. And Renegades, I mean, yesterday you guys had a long, lengthy Game 7 set. So how are you feeling coming into today? It didn't quite go your way. Is the team still feeling pretty good?
Still feeling pretty good. We had to work out some things, but I mean, it's just part of the process of getting better, so we're pretty good.
And so the last few weeks have kind of been a little bit kind of turmoil, I guess, for you guys. You've had some success in terms of the fights that you have, but haven't quite been able to pull out as many sets as I think you would like. What are you kind of expecting going in against Envy?
We've scrimmed them a couple times, and there's sort of been a evolving land meta that everyone's sort of getting stuck in, so I mean, it's easier to predict these guys than, say, SSG.
So one of the things we've seen, and one of the things that I've noticed, and Vocal, sitting right here, has been ridiculously good almost every single set. Everyone else, yesterday specifically, stepped up to kind of match that. Do you have any like specific game plans you've been practicing that are specific for this set, or is everything just kind of keep riding that high?
We've tried to adapt to teams before, and it doesn't always work out our way, so it's best to just play our own game and worry about the rest later.
Well, thank you for the interview. Congratulations on, well, what could be a win. This is going to be a tough set for you, but we expect a lot out of the Renegades. Let's go ahead and go back to the desk.
He said it pretty well. They're feeling confident. They're feeling like they could pull out a win here today. We're going to head back to Ice Mines. A pretty much expected map, I think, out of the Renegades at this point. We've seen them go to Ice Mines a good bit. Envy had a great set on Ice Mines yesterday. I think they took Ice Mines 4-0 or 4-1 or whatever it was. So two teams, I think, who felt confident on this map.
And then 6 games of TBD, man. I mean, that's by far the most popular map. No, I'm just kidding.
It is, right.
It's, yeah, it's been a real staple of the Renegades lineup for sure, and it's almost fun to see. You know, a lot of people hated on it before, but that's because I don't think anyone was super invested in the map or learning it or getting good at it. And now that that's changed, it, in my opinion, is a lot more fun to watch because these guys have just gotten so much better at it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I know some people have felt kind of iffy about the Renegades going to Ice Mines every single time for one of their first few maps. I know that now that you said it, that most teams are starting to figure out how it plays. It's not so much like a niche pick, but they obviously feel confident on it. They're going to go back to it here. And if they start things strong off against Envy here, I mean, it really sets the tone for the rest of the set.
And I liked what MetaPusher said about we've been worrying too much about what other teams are picking and not worrying enough about what we want. And that is something that, just by coincidence, Shadow sort of echoed in my talk with him this morning. Is that this is just it's a high pressure, aggressive meta, and getting that pressure is more often not the key to victory. And what you do it with doesn't really matter as long as you get the job done.
Right. I mean, I think that's probably why we've seen some interesting picks that are becoming less interesting as they're coming out more. You've seen the Maeve out a few times. That's some aggression. Looking to find the con right off the bat here are Envy. That's an aggressive kind of flexy frontliner for them. That'll be good for Rubu to be on that. Still pretty comfortable. Similar play style to the Ruckus. Nara flipping things over onto the other side here. On to Ice Mines, we've seen things like the Drogo. So I was going to say we see things like the Bomb King as well. Presumably Shadow going on to the Bomb King. That's a strong pick here for him. If you're Envy, you see this Bomb King come out early on. What is it maybe that you look for to counteract some of what the Bomb King can do?
Well, they love Drogos, and if they don't go for Drogos, they've got to go for Xin in this area because at that point, Random Noob is just banned out at that point. He's a very versatile player, but he plays Cassie. That's gone. He plays Pip. That's gone. Bomb King also gone. Drogos is kind of hit or miss on this map. A lot of people have been trying to work it with the combustible. Drogos is
this game,
a very comfortable character for Envy as well. They do love the character, but I don't know if they'll be looking to go to it. Xin has, I think, objectively been the more popular, and even you could go so far as to say successful choice.
Yeah, we've seen Xin come out a good bit to some mixed success. Didn't really work out in Rock Monkey's favor yesterday. I don't expect them to shy away from it here. He's going to be on the Leon, of course. Could still bring it out for Random Noob if that's the route they choose to go. The Ash Grover going to be picks 3 and 4 here for the Renegades, so starting themselves off with some good frontline presence as well as the Grover for some healing if they choose to fight together as a team, which is often how we see it go here on Ice Mines. Envy will look to round out their lineup with these final 2 picks. The Damba coming out, that'll be good. Mr. Hayes is very comfortable on this Maldamba, and then the Drogos, as you said, presumably going over to Random Noob.
They might be putting themselves in a situation here. Combustible Drogos doesn't do too well when people are just pushing straight at him. It's easy to kind of get a little bit flustered and go down there. Genos is also kind of just fallen off. As quick as he came is how quick he went. And he's not really being looked at. But Renegades, they do not draft much pressure themselves. There's no Xin to follow up behind this Ashe. So if it's not Ashe Bomb King pushing everyone out from Team Envy, and it's not going to be anyone here. And we've seen how impactful this Victor can be when left alone. So now Envy have to also answer that question of if we don't get aggressive, we could just get turned into Swiss cheese.
Do you think either lineup works just as well? Just depends who feels more comfortable to get aggressive.
Incoming!
I feel like the Renegades just being a little bit tankier. I like Grover in this style of comp for the Renegades. This is close. This is definitely a close draft for me. And I truly think this one's going to be decided by the players.
Well, both teams looking to get off on the right foot here on Friday. Let's send it down to the casters to get Game 1 underway.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's exciting to be here in the casting booth with Sir Gore. He's representing the orange side of the broadcast. I'm representing the blue side. And I don't know. We're both wearing blue.
We're both wearing blue. Everybody's wearing some blue today.
Do you feel like you're backstabbing your own kind is what I want to know.
The
blue.
orange?
The blue.
Or the blue?
Yeah, because now you're fighting for the orange, and you're clearly in the shade of turquoise. That could be a lot closer to blue.
Considering where I went to college,
Really
I feel
cyan.
like me fighting for the orange is okay.
Okay, well, you know what? I
What
don't want to
is
hear any
that one?
Clemson
Hello, Random
conversation
Noob.
here. Random Noob getting a little X-rated, and I don't. I don't want to think about it. It's time to start Ice Mines, and no better way to cue us in than some rock music as the panoramas play for the map that brings us so much joy and so much pain all at the same time.
Now,
Hopefully one of these teams, though, have an idea of what they're doing.
this is one of those maps that, as of late, again, it's shifted from that 4-3 fight that we always have to this 4-1, maybe 4-0 for some players. Specifically yesterday against SSG, Envy were able to dominate on this map. And both teams had one thing to say when I talked to them, and they were both like, you know what, we've been focusing way too hard on what our other team's going to do, what are they trying to play, and we've just been ignoring ourselves.
Hey,
and this feels like for both of them
man.
a return to themselves.
100%. I mean, if you ever go into those days, you play against a good team. You know, we used to do it all the time, and college was really where a lot of tape was used. And it's just, you know, it's like you could look at this guy, and your coach is saying, oh, man, this guy's so crazy. Look at the tape on this move. It's like, dude, you know, we're focusing a lot on them. We need to focus on what we need to do. You know what I mean? And luckily, I never thought, you know, it didn't get out of hand. But if it does go out of hand, it could be, like, weird because you're like, you know, we're trying to play around them. You know, we need to have our identity of how we go about this game, how we get this win. Because, like, limiting their win conditions, cool, but what's ours?
Right now, I'd say a big one is probably this Drogo's Combustible, something we've seen on Ice Mines. And again, normally the matchup you would think goes in favor of the Drogos, but Bomb King can absolutely find him down on this map. But Viral,
I mean,
that's like the quickest first blood I think I've ever seen.
Had to be a grenade, Gore. I don't understand how he got bursted that fast. Shadow wasn't shooting him, but Shadow finds another kill. Envy getting taken advantage of here on the start of this fight. And Nick mentioned it, the Grover, the early pressure, this composition is going to succeed unless Envy can bulldozer through it.
And the one thing the Renegades haven't truly done, I want to say, in the last couple of games that I think can make a big difference here is point control. Right now they're at 63%. They're actually paying more attention to that objective than they have in the past, and I think that's going to give them a good leg up, but they have to be able to win multiple fights right now. This comeback from Rock Monkey has been pretty devastating in terms of their health bars.
Well, we can see also the impact that Barrick really has, right? And so much of this is not focused on our front lines. It's focused on our DPS players. When you look at Barrick, that 560, whatever he's hitting, it's so meaningful as far as pushing a damage dealer out of the position they want to be in. He actually baits that. He takes that intentionally. He wants a barrage to go to him. He can rocket boots it away. The problem is he doesn't expect the rotation so quickly coming through from the Renegades. They've had the better end of this match from the second it started.
And being able to dance around 96 to 48, and they're doing whatever they can. Rubu, though, low. His shield's going to drop. He's going to be able to get a little bit of heal. There's the Whirlwind taken down. Random Noob gets the punch, but he trades his life for it.
And that's the big one, but this is also a huge one right here. I don't know if he's going to make it back alive. It looks like he might have been able to, but overall, it's simply just Envy coming back again. It's been 2 punches for both teams, but Rock Monkey, ever since that early spill, is on a 5 streak and really helping Envy to keep pressure.
And one of the things that actually ended up happening there was the grab, the commander's grab, or the overpower, I mean, from Khan, connects with Moonchopper. He picks him up, he turns to throw him off, and I actually want to say, I think Moonchopper threw some tech that you can use as Ash. Her dash is not going to be the best once you're over the edge of the map. It's just going to drop you off, you're going to plummet, you're not going to be able to get back on. But if you hit it fast enough while you're over land, you instantly drop to the ground, and I believe that's what keeps him alive and in that fight. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to find too much after that. It's been a lot of control for Envy. But just those small moments, again, small glimpses of greatness from Renegades.
Yeah, it was enough as well. I mean, good stuff from Invocal damage-wise, but Envy going to be favored in this matchup until Renegades do something different.
Yeah.
And Random Noob and Rock Monkey off to a good start alongside Rubu, and that's what you need. That's really the core of the damage, the pressure that Envy have. Tolkien, Mr. Hayes, that pair that's so consistent on the point. Minute and 35 now for the push on Ice Mines. Good imminent shot. That's going to get the full reset because it hits 2. Rock Monkey's just going to back off. Oh, get stunned. This has happened before. Memories of Sadak on SSG jumping down, and this time he grabs the support.
Getting a lot of pressure still onto Rock Monkey. Actually, a couple more shots. One more shot would do it. And they're able to get him down. They spread out all of Envy. They're looking to stagger down Tolkien.
Oh, no.
And with that wall locking him away from running off, he's actually going to end up hurting himself, I feel like, by using that rocket boots. But either way, they stagger him out pretty deep. And Now, Envy are in a 4v5 until he comes back.
You know, it's at a certain point where you actually start to benefit from distracting 4 people, because then they can't forward zone, you know. If he had waited another 5 seconds, Envy might have been able to push back over this choke point. And even as 4, they have enough offensive pressure to kind of like keep it a standstill. They may not be able to hold and push the objective, but they could have gained some great ground. And so staggering is good to an effect. Don't want to overdo it though. And now that minute and 35 is turned into just 35. And Renegades doing the strong defense here.
I mean, Barrage going to be coming out pretty late in the round.
I don't know
20
why.
seconds left. I don't think you need to use that. You've already got the defense. That, to me, is maybe, and this is greed of a different kind. It's not, oh, I'm going to run in and get the kills. I'm going to run in and chase someone down. That's, yeah, we want the kills, and we want to be able to say we beat Envy so hard that we got a defense. Like, there's not really much coming out of that. Now you're actually down that ult going into the round.
I mean, it was a guarantee. That almost guarantees the push. And if you're going to look at it that way, I guess it's valuable. I just think you probably didn't need it, but maybe they didn't want to take any chances. And that maybe gives you an insight into the way Renegades are thinking about this game. Everything is on the line. They have to get wins. Envy, they're about as down and out as they could ever be. And this is a great time to take a W here. Everyone seems to be feeling that way, but at a certain point, Envy have to clap back and say, you know what, we're still the exact same 5 players who were the best in the world only 5 months ago. So we need to get a win here.
Yeah, I think no matter who wins this set, and honestly, no matter who wins this map, it's a big deal. If Renegades are able to topple Envy, that says a great deal about how they've grown, or maybe a great deal about where Envy have ended up. And if Envy get this, they at least can conclude to themselves that, you know what, well, at least we didn't lose 4 in a row. It's been 3 straight set losses for them. A 4-1, a 4-2, and a 4-0, so they need this win.
I don't know if I like that wall from the hero. It doesn't really accomplish much. And he still may take a spill here. Shadow trades with Tolkien. Tolkien finds the shot before, and that's actually a big deal. That way Shadow can't help snowball this. And he makes it very, very simple. They tried to take some ground, but it's a half commit from both sides. Envy just end up committing at the end and are able to spill more. And Vocal still, without that barrage he used mid-round, and the bonus is that it is coming up. Will they even be able to touch the point, though? He can get a kill here.
Yeah, I mean, trying to come around the corner. Envy are getting pretty aggressive. That was a very good shot coming down from Random Noob, just to displace Invocal and make him feel the pressure that is Drogo's, but they're getting close on the side of Renegades to be able to touch down. They get rid of Rock Monkey, and that's going to open the door, at least to come peek onto the point. Can they touch?
And this is big. This is a big... Are you... What? Hero just gets taken down. It feels like Renegades get that timing all wrong. Envy gets the point, and I mean, assuredly, that was going to be Renegades capping if they could just wipe them fast enough, but I don't know if it's a lack of urgency, Gore. I don't know what happened.
I mean, the thing that caught my eye that was equally impressive, it's not just how fast Hero died. He put up a wall specifically to block that much damage from coming into him. Like, he was trying his best to get to that objective. I think he thought he had the timing, and if he had been able to live one more step, he could have been able to, but that was Envy collapsing, doing incredibly well. Everything that they did for that point fight is great, but the problem I have is they're falling flat almost immediately on the push 2 times in a row.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, they had no momentum in that fight. I mean, they lost it all. Rock overextended, and, you know, then you had a, you know, I think maybe a save from a Dread Serpent that took place and maybe bought some time, maybe ticked it over from 99 to 100 from Mr. Hayes. That was looking like Renegades were going to retake here. So a lot of aggressiveness on both sides. You could tell these two teams trying to figure it out. And a heck of a battle here on Ice Mines to start out the set.
You know, last year, a lot of the time, and something I feel like some players, they do still have in their mind, is that there's that online versus on LAN meta. Like, what you play online and what you play on LAN are going to be different. Certain things, Bomb King specifically is one of those champions that just, he plays better when you're on LAN. He just feels better, shots connect easier. It's insane. But one of the things that, I mean, this year obviously has changed is that it's always on LAN. And so it's interesting to hear some of the players still refer to it as like a LAN meta that has been evolving. It's like, no, this is the meta that you need to play Premier League now. Like, and that's the thing I'm wondering if these two teams specifically are kind of lagging behind. Everyone else seems to be adapting to specific champions, adapting to specific styles. And I feel like we're seeing a glimpse of the former Envy here, even the one that we saw 2 weeks ago. But it's just not the same.
Gore, you know, one of the traits I value more in human beings in society, in any interaction, is adaptability, the ability to learn, to grow. That's the one trait that guarantees future success, because you can be good at something now, but if that thing becomes irrelevant, who cares? You may never be good for the next 60 years of your life at anything if you can't adapt and grow and change, and that's what it is being tested here from Envy. And they adapted last year perfectly. You have to assume that this is a huge test of their ability to adapt now. And one of the things that I feel Renegades are doing, and this is just this is my feeling, you know, I feel like they're playing loose. What I mean by that is that they feel like there's just I mean, if we lose, we lose. Like, if we throw an ult, we throw an ult.
No urgency.
I mean, Moonchopper's diving in. He missed that ult off the, I don't know how he didn't hit the top end. He was trying to go up top, but they're just Ash ulting into it. It's not really a lot of thought about the consequences. It's more like, we're just going in. Let's see what happens. And it's kind of refreshing.
Weird. Yeah, well, it's refreshing, and it's also kind of weird because it works
in
this kind of scenario. Like,
exactly.
That's the thing that's catching me off guard. I feel like you try that against NIP, and NIP are just going to eat you up. Right. And I feel like Envy right now, they are in that frazzled state. They are in that area where they're unsure what they want to be. They're unsure what you want to be, especially in the Renegades, who aren't sure what they want to be. Like, no one in this match right now, I think, feels as sure of themselves as they did 100%. Coming into the league 3 weeks ago.
And I think it makes sense too, right? Because the two teams trying to figure out how does this meta work for us. There is no set plan, so they're all playing off the cuff a little bit here. They're like, does this work? Does this work? Let's try this. And oh, that grenade from Involtgoal! It's gonna take out Random Noob. That was extremely important. Now Rock Monkey's going to get a little damage as well. Don't step. Another grenade. Oh, it almost gets him. And Volkl has single-handedly forced both DPS characters on the side of Envy back.
Unfortunately, Rubu gets rid of Shadow, and Volkl gets rid of Rubu, but they lose Moonchopper. Now Rock Monkey getting aggressive. He eats it, but he still goes down, and Volkl almost makes the play, but Viral cleans it up after.
Rock Monkey's like, you know, to the left, to the left. It's like to the right, to the right. The Grace gets him out of the line of sight, and it ends up trading. And that trade was enough for Envy to come back unhindered and capture the 3rd point. Oh, beautiful stuff there to make a bad situation okay.
I mean, Envy yesterday looked very solid on this map against SSG, but this is one of Renegade's best maps. This is one that we were actually talking about, and honestly, you could tell me either of these teams picked this map coming in today, and I would believe it because this is where Renegades love to play. So I want to know if this performance from them right now, this 3-2, maybe going 3-3 if they could keep these kills up right now, is going to stay a 3-3. Is it going to be the same thing next map, or is this a Ice Mine-centric pickup?
What is Moon doing? I mean, what's happening?
He's just gaming.
He's just Ash ulting whenever he wants. Like, this man is getting put into the dishwasher. He is literally getting put into the dry cleaner, the laundry, you know, whatever you want to call it. He's getting spun around. And I actually have no idea what his team was even thinking, because they all 4 were back there. Combustible, Commander's Grab, another Combustible, you know, Overpower. It's just been Envy kind of toying with this way too aggressive frontline pressure. And it's, again, he's, you know, by himself, isolated. So, you know, they're playing loose. You could tell. And maybe there's no understanding of the exact plan. Maybe it's just, let's try this and see if it works. But Envy really taking advantage of it now.
I mean, looking to be able to walk this one in. They have Renegades locked to the map. Unfortunately, they're coming into the toughest choke point on Ice Mines. They don't have a Dragon Punch to be able to clear anyone off. They have a Dread Serpent. They're about to have a Dome Shield and an Overpower. So they have a couple of things that are coming up. And 2 kills, that's going to open the door wide.
Oh, this should be it right here. I mean, Enlightenment pretty soon. You can expect it if they need it. And he may, just to stay alive, buy some time to get some healing. Dome Shield's going to be enough. And a Dread Serpent. Cool stuff there. And it's just Envy. More coordinated at the end. I think Rock Monkey started to pick it up. We had a lot of conversation about Rock Monkey over Twitter yesterday. Bugsy tweeting out some things saying, keep your head up, Sean. You know, it'd be tough as a DPS to carry so hard and still lose. It seems like he has done that indeed, and the carrying continues.
Well, they have everything. Again, they have the tools in the toolbox. Can they use them and utilize them? That game, it starts to look like it towards the end, but I need to see more consistency from Envy and from Renegades.
Yeah, Dave, Nick, what do you guys think?
I think I agree with you. Envy looking good here in game number 1. Renegades not looking bad on the opposite side, but I think that's a monkey off the back here for Envy. I think they needed to start one of these series with a win. They got one in the middle of the series yesterday, but I think opening things up with a win here is good for Envy.
Because it's an interesting spot to be when they're losing all these sets recently. It's almost like every set that they lose, you still expected them to win that set. And even here, it's like they've been on a big losing streak. But you still expect them to win. You still expect them to beat these teams until they don't. And that's why it's such a big story.
Right.
Huge fire spits, big damage all around. Turns out Random Noob's Drogos is going to do just fine. Nobody's getting too in his face, so he was able to kind of win that war. It was almost like Renegades and Envy drafted the same type of comp. It's going to be like our Victor in the back line doing as much damage as he possibly can versus your back line doing as much as they can. Everyone's going to get free range. No one's going to get too much pressure in their face, and we'll just see who's left standing.
And honestly, more of the same, I think, on the side of Renegades, where Invokal just kind of pops off. 13-7, so not like the most absurd slash line we've seen. At 130-something thousand damage.
It's his trademark at this point, to go positive while losing the game.
Right.
I don't know how he does it.
So whatever that's worth, but he definitely looked great. 134,000 damage. That's good for top damage in the game by about, well, 24,000. So the Victor definitely hitting all of his shots. Shadow maybe looking for one back on the Bomb King here, 5-10. But yeah, definitely the story to look at, I think, is that Envy were able to really officially start a series here on the right foot. They were able to find the win. They were able to do it in relatively good fashion. And I think that bodes well for them today.
And that's, I think, a big part of it, where this Bomb King might be the weak point for them. There's a point where Bomb King's trying to get in there. He's trying to push it, but Envy have drafted 2 aggro tanks. They didn't really draft a point tank. They were like, we want to win this fight, and then we'll sit on the objective. We'll worry about that later. There's such an aggressive zone to be had on Ice Mines that it's tough for Bomb King to bully his way through big bullies, right? Ash is not easy to get past. Khan is not easy to get past, and we kind of saw that in the 5-10 slash line.
Bright Marsh is where we're headed for map number 2. I would assume the Renegades would have picked Ice Mines because that's one of their favorites. So we
almost
then again assume that Envy are looking here at Bright Marsh. So back on their map pick with a win in the back pocket. I think that's not so we've been able to say here for the last 3 or 4 games of theirs, but starting things off well. Looking at picks and bans here, do you think either team keys off on something and maybe changes anything around? I mean, Envy, I think, would probably be happy with what they saw out of their lineup from the last game, not necessarily any big red marks to change.
Honestly, if the draft goes similar to how it did in game number 1, I wouldn't be super surprised to see a Kinesso or something come out on this map. Probably not from Envy, probably from Invokal on the Renegades, if anyone. But I don't really, I wouldn't really think I'm ruling it out. These teams are playing fairly safe. Again, it comes down to if not a flanker is drafted or not. I think if Eevee or Xin comes out for Random Noob, which I'm not sure if he's feeling. You know, Wormjet Strogos was very, very good here yesterday for SSG, and I think that's probably what they'll look to grab if they can.
Well, it's going to be the Ruckus taken away from Rubu. I guess it is the Rubu to start things off here. Khan as well off the board. Tolkien with a sly smile there looking out the side of his face. And one thing I do notice, talking about these player cams, is we saw Random Noob with a big smile on his face after that game. I think that's a big confidence building game for him. I know that these guys take their losses kind of on the chin, but they take them kind of hard. So seeing Random Noob, seeing the team kind of back in good spirits just after starting off well, I do like to see it. So I'm happy to see that out of the side of Envy. It's gonna be Ash though, starting things off here for Renegades.
I think you said it. I think, I mean, that game 1 was really big for them.
Yeah.
You know, you can say you're confident all you want, but to be like, really, again, is this are we losing again, guys?
Because at some point that wears off. At some point you can't say I'm confident.
They're good. They are a good team here. We've just kind of been in shock and awe as they sort of tailspin down, losing to team after team. And that first map is definitely going to be important, not only because it was the Renegades pick, but because of their morale going into game number 2. They go for the Barrack Genos here, which is a good little sign. I actually kind of like that. I like the Void Grip into the Assert Dominance interaction. I think being able to stall Ashe out of her ult, which is probably the most important part of her kit, is a big, big thing, and something that might be a little bit overlooked. Ashe hasn't been as valuable the metas certainly in priority orders have been super in flux over the past couple of weeks, so it's hard to say what anyone's ideal goals are or ideal compositions are at this point.
Well, one thing you pointed out on our cast this morning was how Genos has not really been the 100% pick ban. It's not that he's banned or he's picked in every single game.
Yeah.
He still has like a 63% win rate, I think is what I saw. Pip as well with a pretty high % win rate, so that's something you have to consider. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point. In that one game, it could be, you know, Barrack getting first pick. The next game, it suddenly becomes Ruckus getting first pick. There's so many things changing. It's interesting to watch.
I mean, the 65% win rate kind of makes sense. Like, he came in, he kicked ass, and then he left, and without anyone having to beat him. You know what I mean? He didn't get nerfed, he didn't get changed, he didn't really get, you know, hard countered or figured out. They just kind of stopped picking him.
Said, I'm the toughest guy in town, and then then walked out the door. Did pop up in a few of our games today, though. He's going to pop up here again. Cassie Eevee, that's good to pair with the Genos, as well as a Barrack in the back pocket for Envy. So they have the makings of a pretty good lineup here. Pip on the opposite side, though. That Evil Mojo, one that's good enough, can spell spoiler for a team fight, no matter how well it's going.
It spells like Leon Damba here, probably for the Renegades, unless they pull out something wacky. Grover is something that Viral definitely likes, but Damba as well. So both of his priority healers are essentially open at this point. So I'm not sure which way he's going to look to lean. They've been doing a lot of Grover recently, though, so I would have to give it like maybe 10% more towards the Grover than the Damba in this case.
They're going to look to fight around that Grover as well. The Fernando, Barrack are going to be your frontliners for Envy. Ash and Nara for the Renegades. What do you like from either side, Nick?
Envy, I think definitely both teams get a good draft.
Yeah.
This is the world champion still, and I think very comfortable after winning game number 1, and they get everything they want in game number 2. These are very, very iconic champions for all 5 players of Envy.
Well, Envy get off the board with a wonderful start there in game 1. They have the momentum. They have the wind at their back. They're going to look to continue that a little bit here in game number 2. Renegades, a grueling 7-game set yesterday. Doesn't entirely go their direction. They're going to look to get something rolling here against the defending world champions. Both teams, pretty good lineups, I think, top to bottom. We like it. 10 up, 10 down go the champions. Into game 2 we go. And down to your casters, we'll send it.
Thanks, guys. Coming here from the booth, it's Rain Day and Gore Miser here. Gore, how do you feel about this set? Can you hear me?
I don't know if I can do the helicopter.
Gore.
If I can emulate it as well as you can.
We had the walkie-talkie bit planned for
6 years.
6 years,
actually. It's been a long time.
And
you
left me
planning and
hung me out to dry.
I failed you.
You hung me out to dry.
I should just leave.
You know, don't do that. I need to talk to somebody.
Do you?
No. I'm a YouTuber. I've talked to myself for about 30 minutes in a row, sometimes hours. I had to untrain myself to do that, to add someone else into the conversation.
They're looking to try and add themselves to the conversation. Renegades get a decent-looking draft on this map. Whether or not it's going to be able to do the wonders that it can do is kind of my question. I think Pip has been such a huge talking point the last few days, last week. Shadow has been a player who's brought it, but I'm just not sure it's going to be able to bring it against Envy right here.
I mean, he's definitely a good Pip player, and we'll have to see. One of the just hilarious things keep bringing up is Envy's inability to easily slot in the Pip, even though it's something that Random Noob is very comfortable with, especially in this Catalyst side of things. So, surprised to see them veer away from it. The Eevee will be their choice today, and that doesn't mean that they won't be able to have some success with that. I just haven't really seen those two battle out, really find the edge yet. The problem with the Explosive Flash, he's just going to wait. And it's very predictable what the Eevee wants to do.
Looking like a good set. Could potentially be a kill here onto Rubu as he gets locked in the corner. Those shots are still going over, but he turns away during the reload.
Wow.
And he is able to clean up the kill. A long first
Shadow.
blood, but that's 99% overall for Envy.
Oh, Shadow's playing perfectly, though. I mean, luckily the shield comes up right before, but I mean, this Pip is truly dominating in all forms and fashions on any team that really is playing it. And Shadow it's one of the things he brings, man. That's why we were so excited for him. And what he can do for this team is he gives them this level of diversity to their draft that would never have been feasible before.
I mean, there's going to be an Immortal coming through, trying to hold on to the overtime as long as you possibly can here for Rubu. That 1900 health does not last long when you're
You
under
gotta
the brunt of the
chase it.
damage. You're going to have to do whatever you can, and Vocal picks up one, Viral picks up another. And Envy are just nowhere to be seen.
It's safe. It's safe from them. I think Rubu was really hung out to dry. You got to know that the shield's down, dash is down, immortal's down, formidable's down. You need to push that, and it's scary. But I think Renegades, why stop there? You're picking your pip, you're playing aggressively, you're ulting. Second ults come up, like, just go for it. I think Renegades are playing in a way that I think if you're going to beat Envy, this is how you got to do it. You got to just be unabashed. You have to go at their throats. We've seen pressure work.
Yeah.
Pressure is really good in this meta right now, and if you can, it doesn't necessarily mean burst. It doesn't necessarily mean 3 DPS. It means pressure, and so far Renegades have plenty of it.
And it's actually something we've seen. Like obviously, NIP last week was one of the most dominating teams I think we've seen, and
Pressure.
it was very much just we are going to control, so we are going to make sure that your grip on this game is loose at best.
Yeah.
This is where Envy can bite back. This is where they can try to find those moments. But as long as you grab the objective, as long as that's where you're finding the control, that's where you're going to win the games. The things I'm liking about Renegades, but the one thing I want to see maybe shifted, is they're playing with control, but it doesn't seem as though they have as far of a plan mapped out as we saw out of NIP, right? I feel like there needs to be a little bit more, we have it planned aggression, not just straight-on aggression.
I hear you. I think that's the development, right? That's the next level. That's Season 2. But right now, they've clearly started to implement one idea, which is that, who cares, man? Let's just go at it. Let's just freaking go.
I mean,
let's play our game. Let's be confident. Let's take 1v1s whenever we want to. I mean, you're in the PPL. Why are you second-guessing yourself? It's the same character.
Yeah.
The only difference is like, okay, you might miss a shot, you might hit a shot, and if you hit all your shots and your character's better in that matchup, you're going to win. Doesn't matter if it's Rock Monkey on the Cassie. He can die.
And that's actually one of the bigger points. I'm not sure if that's enabled here. I know it's something I've looked at in past games where it's just, sometimes you just need to turn off the names. Don't look at who's over there. You don't care. That's an Eevee. It doesn't matter if it's random noob. That's Leon. It doesn't matter if it's Rock Monkey. Just go for it. Play it like you'd play it any other time. Or, in this case, play it like you're playing at Renegades, because this is way better than what I thought we were going to see.
Hey, man, it's a 2-0. Pip hasn't died. That's the story of everyone's life over the last 2 days. Whether it's Pan, whether it's Shadow, Pip ain't dying. Pip is going off. He was banned all of SSG's set. The one game he wasn't, they won. Pip might have. I want to say Pip has a 80% win rate over these last 2 days.
He's been doing well.
I think he only lost one game.
I'd say his KDA from the last 2 days is probably through the roof as well.
It's probably like 100 and I don't know.
He's not,
it's probably like a 50. It's probably like a 50 KDA or something.
He's been doing so much work, especially after that one Borders Gate game that Pan had yesterday against the Renegades.
Dude.
So that was probably one that would lean it very heavily in favor. But I mean, Shadow in general has been playing really well throughout the league that he's been coming in as a sub now. I think being mainstay really for the Renegades here, and he fits in very well.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to take this level of playstyle, especially on a Pip. If you're going to take this level of playstyle, and I have to say I'm kind of surprised more with Envy.
He's dead. That's what I'm saying. They're just they're pressuring. I love it. And you know what? That's what ends up winning this point. Moxie Kid can't push him. Random Noob's got to take advantage of the sustained fight. Shadow will win it as well, but you just have to make sure you're going when his heal is not up. That's the only thing you can do. And he's got 2 seconds. That ice block works just as well for Shadow as it does for Random Noob, because now he's got his reset and he gets it. Volk on the backside, still 90% though for Envy, and Rock Monkey has had enough time to come in, but here's Shadow. What can he do? He's got Evil Mojo. This could be huge. He heals himself. The triple kill from Shadow. Ruba's going to try to jump in. He turns into the chicken, and Shadow with the quadra kill for Renegades, turning it around.
And now Control's going to be back in their favor. Someone needs to stand on the point, and there they do set themselves up. Now go for the zone. Look what you can get. 15 streak here for Shadow. And already 13% back on that Evil Mojo. If he starts finding, some members to target, and that's going to be back pretty soon.
And you know what? I think you don't have to back off, right? But I don't mind the overtime, because you know where they're coming. You know what it is. Pressure on both sides. Rubu's trying to distract. Let him be in the back. Fernando can't hit you with enough damage to really burst you there. You have to focus on the point here. Take the 4v5 somewhere else. Random Noob and Shadow trade. This is in favor of Renegades, because Shadow is actually the one who's going to be able to go and do enough damage here. But Moon Chopper, instead of going back towards the point, which is immediately contested, tries to go to the back line. A little bit of a miscommunication, and Envy grab it. Rock Monkey finding 3. And oh boy, sometimes you do need a little bit more patience or practicality than just raw aggression.
And that was that key moment. You ult left, you should have ult backwards. Right?
Yeah.
I guess you need to turn around, bonk your head, and
Yeah.
land as close to the point as you possibly can there if your Moonchopper gets taken down while he's in the air, which gives Envy pretty much the entire lead. Even if he just lands there, it doesn't matter if you're on the point, you at least keep that pressure up from you. Now he's going to be using it really as a disengage to try and get out and stay alive. Envy, on the other side, I'm going to say they looked okay, passable. And that's not a phrase I want to use when you're looking at a team that has played as well as they have in the past.
Well, at a certain point, this is the way life works. The world goes, what have you done for me lately? I know it. Being a Laker fan, it's easy to see that. Because you could be on the top of the top, many championships, and one bad season, everyone says, I'm so pissed off at all of this action, or lack thereof, I guess. We're just speaking specifically about all that. But, you know, Envy have this incredible record. But coming into the season, you have to wash it all away.
True.
The sooner they let that go and they just, you know, grit their teeth, then I think the better for them. And it seems like they're on the path to doing so. But Renegades have really stolen the show here right now.
That's where my surprise is coming from. And something that we've talked about the last couple of weeks, and I can kind of feel it when I'm in the player booth. They feel very happy with each other, very comfortable with each other. But a lot of the show has been, hey, look, there's Invocal.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's Invocal.
Yeah.
Every game, every set, it was always Invocal.
Yeah.
This time around, it was Invocal and Shadow.
Right.
And then Invocal, Shadow, and Moonchopper's putting his name on that list, and Hero's putting his name on this, and Viral's making plays. Like, when all 5 of them are playing at that level, it is making such a big difference for them
Yeah.
that 8th place is where they're sitting right now. They're at the bottom, but if they can continue this trend, they're not going to be there long.
I mean, Moonchopper 6-4, Shadow's 11-2. You would not believe it, but Invocal has one of the lowest KPAs on this team. It's pretty wild right now. 5-7-12. His Enlightenment works on a chicken, so that's good. That math checks out. 1,600 over 1,500 health.
I don't know. I think we might need to send this to the scientists.
We might need to send this to the scientists. Take a little bit of a
Call
break.
in NASA.
Get the quantum physics out there. See if we can handle this equation. It doesn't look like they'll get there. And it was a half-hearted attempt, and it's going to result in a half-hearted impact. 3-1. Renegades game point here. Shadow at the camera. But seems to have random noob in his sights pretty quickly as well.
And it's very good pointed aggression from him.
Amazing.
And that's the thing, is moments like that, where the first kill you go for is the guy that's going to threaten your team the most and distract your team the most. And then the next kills you get are on probably some of the highest priorities. You get rid of a front line, I believe the support in there as well, to deal with just continued, I guess, rolling aggression for the team. You make it way easier for them to stand on the objective, to let Hero have some room, to let Moonchopper have some room, and swing that door open to stand on the point and keep Envy corralled.
I mean, look at what he's doing. 21,000 healing? That doesn't count for himself. In a 10-minute game? I mean, that's incredible, and he changes his position. This is so much better, I think. Kind of noob. Going in, biting off maybe a little more than he could chew. I know he's got that Luminary mark, but boy, oh boy, he almost died there. He's got to be careful. Shadow spots him out as well, forces the ice block, so that's 13 seconds without that cooldown. But Envy have a lot of pressure. See what they can do.
And they're coming up around the side, still looking to try and find that fight, but Shadow controls the high ground here.
Ruba's dead.
Random noob is locked into an awkward area. You lose one, you're looking like you might lose two, but they trade out Hero and Shadow. That's a big kill there. Rock Monkey being able to get rid of the one that's been causing so much trouble for his team.
Oh my goodness, and Tolkien withstands it all. Envy just a little bit better. That's where that world class kind of starts to show off there. Renegades have good aggression, but they wait too long, and they ignore Tolkien.
That's what Tolkien wants. Don't look at me. I mean, you are looking at Barrack. And I think this is worth mentioning again. Rachao got 80,000 damage on Barrack in their last game they just played against the Knights. So
Those
when
are
you
baby numbers.
switch that over to Tolkien, then you have to wonder, you know, where is this presence I felt from Tolkien in the past? Where's this presence I felt from Envy in the past? When they're playing against the likes of Na'Vi, when they're playing against, well, maybe not SSG yesterday, but what we've seen in the past, SSG in the World Championship, like, where did that presence on these champions go?
Couldn't kill him. Immortal. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff from Rubu. It's worth it. You trade out Evil Mojo, you keep everyone alive, and you team wipe. It's
That's it.
worth it. However, there may be a conversation here for Renegades to let this go through. I know it's not easy. You deny yourself maybe an extra chance, but they just used a big ult. Heishu's a big ult, and you know Dome Shield isn't charged yet because it's only been a few seconds before this thing has gone into the play. I wouldn't sacrifice any ults on your side as well. I'd say this could actually benefit the Renegades if it went through fast enough.
I mean, so far so good. Dancing around very appropriately is Random Noob. And he's finally hit that stride on Eevee that was kind of missing for me at the very beginning of the game. He was getting locked out several times by this Pip, and now Vocal goes down, Rock Monkey finds the trade, Tolkien gets taken down. It just feels like kind of just throwing punches and seeing what lands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you Enlightenment there. I think, again, at this point, the question is it worth it to even try any of our big-time ults? And Enlightenment, I guess you could say, is more of a second-tier ult, but now it's got to fully charge, and there's only 37 seconds left. Leave it to Invocal to try to get that one back up. Rubu charging in with the Flame Lance. Moonchopper trying to hold him off here on the left side, but Tolkien pressuring the point now. He's got to choose. Backs off to try to do a little bit of both. Mr. Haste gets low, and Moonchopper getting more and more in a bad position. Knocked back, but that charge didn't really get what he wanted.
Dancing around the side. Payload's definitely going to be able to go into overtime as long as they can dance around this way. Members of Envy surrounding on all sides. Hero is about half health, so the control all in favor of Envy, but they lose Rock Monkey very early on in the fight. Rubu's looking like he might go down very shortly, and they don't want to expend any ults right now. They don't want to have to pop anything to kind of keep this going for Envy, so the healing needs to be on point.
Like, Renegades here, I just don't understand the decision-making. I honestly, I'm baffled. I don't understand. They obviously want to keep this 3-2, but now they go into 5 ults. They took long enough, and there are 5 ults on the side of Envy. And there is no negative to you. You can't lose the game if they push it through. And if anything, you were dead even. Now you're behind again. Envy have an extra comeback mechanic. They have a half fast cap. And you are without a Whirlwind and an Enlightenment. I hope they have an Assert Dominance. They do. But, you know, sacrificing the Whirlwind there, I thought that's a big risk.
5 ults already. Envy won the last point fight. They have, like you said, the half fast cap, being able to grab this point quicker than we'll see out of Renegades. And based on the push last round, they were able to get all their ults charged while it was still in overtime. Like, they ended the round with all of their ults up. So I'm looking at them potentially dropping ults
Enlightenment, can't deal with that.
Grab this point, and they might just be able to end the game if they get this.
Viral's low, can't Whirlwind. I didn't get it. It's paying off right here. Envy having all their ults. No emergency buttons available to be pressed for the side of Renegades. So now they've got to come back, win this fight again. It's not impossible. Enlightenment will be up. They do have an Evil Mojo, but the zone is heavy on the side of Envy here, especially with an Eevee. Crazier things have happened, Gore, but it's an uphill battle.
I mean, being able to get dismounts, maybe not even through shots, but just through pressure. You get a kill on the Shadow right there.
Okay.
And Moonchopper, I mean, you might still have your Assert Dominance. There might still be a Seismic Crash, but can you actually do anything to follow it up? And Vocal's getting aggressive, but blocked by his own team.
Wow, Gore, it's hard to really break it down because there are just mistakes all over the board here. And Envy, I mean, barring catastrophic failure, they will capture this point and have a chance to push and win now.
So I said this to you after game 1, and I think this is something that is worthwhile getting out for everybody. I'd said, if Envy have any more games like that in this set, then it's not the Envy we know anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like it is sloppy. It is not what we have seen out of them, even in this, like the last 4 weeks that they've played. I think next week after this, they go up against the Knights. If the Knights play next week like they did today and Envy plays this way,
I think
the Knights will roll over them.
I think Knights win, clearly. No, I agree with you, Gord. I think the performances we've seen across the board, this showcases that Envy, they are still struggling. Renegades are playing wild, but they are making some interesting decisions here that you wouldn't see the likes of some of these teams at the top right now be making. You can see why this went so much in favor for SSG, but right now Renegades, I think this one is going to be a loss pretty quickly. Rubu finds Moonchopper there, and that starts it off.
I mean, it's one of those things you had mentioned. It's mistake after mistake after mistake during that point fight. And once you get into that zone, you're tilted. Like, you're looking at, man, you did this to me. I can't believe you set this up for them.
Yeah.
And Vocal goes in. Yes, that one's going to be able to connect a little bit, but not enough damage to be able to kill off Rock Monkey. Shadow finds it, but it's all just coming a day late and a dollar short.
It really is. A day late and a dollar short. And Rubu here just going to try to stay alive. It's just Moonchopper by himself. I mean, ever since that that collapse, it felt like it was hard. But here's the seismic crash.
Pretty good.
Is there a little bit of hope here? Renegades fighting for their lives. Hero here finding good damage on a Tolkien, but here's Rock. Oh, the whirlwind comes just in time. Viral is here. It's a 28 streak for Mr. Hayes. They're going to hold on. Would you believe it?
30 seconds remaining. I mean, you're going to have to regroup. You want to force ults as best you can. You already got 3 big ones out on the side of Renegades, but again, looking at the timers on Envy, they don't have the Immortal, they're not going to have the Dome Field. They're about to have a through time in space, they're about to have an Ice Storm. They can isolate, lock down, maybe even pick off someone with one of those. And that means these next 12 seconds are still going to be important as long as they can get down, touchdown, and keep overtime going.
Random Noob is really the key to this. If he can poke somebody out, force a Blossom onto a target outside of a healer, excuse me, outside of a tank, that would be huge. And it seems like he has at least the pressure, and he gets out scot-free. They can't push this. Oh, he will. Vocal's here. He gets the kill. Viral gets another.
Okay.
Holy moly. They're going to defend. Renegades not out of it yet when it looked like a surefire thing. Envy can't quite close the deal.
You know what Envy need? They
What?
need to go out and buy 1 can of a Cuss Cutie pep talk.
If they need 1 can of a Cuss Cutie pep talk.
I feel like whatever
What a
it
Renegades.
is he's saying.
A Pepto-Bismol?
I mean, it's just,
Settle
I
the
don't know
stomach
what's
here?
going on, but this is that moment where what Cuss was saying yesterday, right, when they're playing the Renegades. And he comes out, he even said this on Twitter, because some people were saying that maybe, you know, was he just raging at the world? What's going on there? And no, he is sitting there and he's saying, look, guys, we're better than this. Like,
Yeah.
Renegades just took 3 maps off of us.
Step it
What
up.
are we doing?
Step it up.
And so I feel like this is just one thing
And
that you need to snap down on.
for the best taco, one of our Smite casters, just want to say that our game is now hitting in about 7 seconds, 20 minutes, which is, of course, impossible. 18, maybe, but 20, absolutely not.
When was the last time you saw a 20-minute Bright Marsh?
Right now, Gore. Right now.
Sure. I should have asked that about a minute ago.
And this one certainly doesn't feel like it's going to be going to 25. 39% and counting. Team Envy not only taking a long time to get rid of the Renegades, but looking like they are at least going to seal the deal, albeit in slower fashion than they would have hoped. And Vocal out of resources, but the Renegades, not quite. There's Assert Dominance. There is Evil Mojo. Let's see what they can do. Evil Mojo used. Immortal in response. So nothing from that, but Shadow does find Tolkien. Rubu finds Viral and a double kill for Shadow. Triple kill. Wait a second, ladies and gentlemen. Can Rock and Random Noob do it themselves? Moonchopper finds Rock Monkey. Hero. He's back on the point. They've got an Assert Dominance. And Random Noob's got 82 health in a dream, and he's going to get around. He's doing circles around Bright Marsh's rooftop. And Envy, they might be out of it.
Still around for right now. Tolkien's going to be back. There's going to be the Dome Shield, but is it going to be enough to keep you alive in this set? You're getting a lot of damage on a hero. Through time and space comes through, and that's 2 clean kills picked up for Envy.
The Assert Dominance, where is it? He can't even get it off. Moonchopper can't get the ult off. And Envy get the win. Oh my goodness, the theatrics. And a smile and a quivering drink of water from Tolkien. That can't have been, I guess, a confident victory.
I mean, it's shaky all around. It is Renegades, you have control. What do you do with it? They cede almost every bit of ground, almost immediately. The minute that Dome Shield came out, everyone scattered off the point like they saw a spider.
I mean, man, oh man, oh man. A lot of things to talk about in that one. Let's send it back to the desk as game 2, yet again, goes the way of Envy.
The 20-minute slugfest comes up blue, and this one smiles in the face of the Envy booth. I mean, they looked inches
Crazy.
away from throwing that one away there at the end, but end up stabilizing. Renegades nearly getting on the board, but Envy find themselves up 2-0 here. It was really the Rock Monkey and Shadow show in this one. One of the two of them, seemingly in every single fight this game, was finding multi-kills, was finding so much pressure onto the other team. It's Envy this time that come up big.
I can't believe they didn't get any of those tank
Yeah.
ults off. I mean, I don't care if it's not pretty, but I think you should
You have
definitely
to
try
use
to
it.
just get it off.
Right.
Still 500 damage and a stun at that point. It's your last contribution to the game. A lot of great moments there for Shadow's Pit. 15 streak burning at the end of this clip. But it's not only Seismic Crash, assert dominance as well, failing to get off in the final team fight. It felt like Renegades had what they needed to win that fight, but just really scuffed it up, man. They're saving those ults for next game.
Yeah, it really seemed that way. I mean, I'm sure
Every one of these clips starts with, oh, I wonder what he did here.
well, he found a quadra on the first one, a triple on this one.
How to pip?
See, how to pip, that's the question. Rock Monkey, the big man in blue, coming up big in game number 2. Oh, wow. I don't know anything else that rhymes with those, but I could have kept it going there. 20 and 12 it is. 171,000 damage. That's huge. That's one of the bigger damage numbers I've seen in a good bit of time. And we were watching this together, and you kept saying, like, wow, that big game damage is just so much. I feel like time and time again, we've seen it in almost in every game anyway, but every once in a while you're reminded of how hard she hits.
Yeah, you certainly are. And Rock Monkey has a couple of moments where he 3 or 4 taps Ash, and that is really, really difficult to deal with. You're just not used to dying that quickly, man. It's just so much to deal with. You throw the Luminary on top about it, forget about it. There's so much Haven, a lot of mitigation items coming out in this game, as opposed to the 10 Master items we saw last time.
Yeah.
11-15 on the Inara. Mr. Rock Monkey with a couple of fat tanks to shoot. It's no wonder he's able to climb his way up the charts.
No, and we touched on this, I think, in the pregame, and Rock Monkey's just kind of the guy that they look to lean on in games like that. I mean, towards the end there, when it looked like Renegades were maybe going to be able to peel it back, Rock Monkey found a few kills, found some damage, and really was the kind of the tried and true stalwart to that Renegades push. So props to him. Coming up huge, 171,000 damage, as I said, approaching 200,000, the elusive 200,000.
Jeez.
One of these days.
Everyone except the supports over 6 figures.
Yep.
And the
a
supports
slugfest.
even at about 50, 60K damage there. Big, big numbers. But that's about a 20, probably 21, 22-minute game when it's all said and done. Very, very lengthy Bright Marsh game. And the Renegades are not making it easy for Envy.
No, they're not, and they're going to look to do more of the same here on Shattered Desert. We've seen it come out a little bit. Actually, this was a game yesterday, if you're looking at the Renegade side, I think they took Pittsburgh Knights to Shattered Desert. They pulled out the Mave here. This is the first time we saw the Mave yesterday. And Invocal played it to a T, honestly. It threw the Knights, threw the Knights yesterday through a loop, so I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to potentially see a Mave come out as well.
Man, there's no way Envy aren't prepared for it, though. I think at this point,
you have to be.
Mave is certainly in the pool for this game. The Renegades, what will they go for? Midnight was very, very useful for them, playing a lot off that utility to the point where they're forcing the Knights to grab 5 resiliences. Nobody can really play. And it's very funny because there's a character in Smite named Shibalanke who has basically the same ultimate. He shuts down the vision for everyone on the enemy team. And it's like basically because of that ultimate, he is competitively viable. That's such a strong thing in a competitive game when communication is paramount. And oftentimes the thing that can set you apart from other teams is how well you communicate and target and shot call. You take all of that away at the same time for 4 seconds on a pretty damn quick charge. It's tough.
It's the Bird Box Challenge for the enemy team.
I like it.
There's a meme somewhere in there.
Go
Sure.
ahead.
Ruckus is going to be
Keep
pick
talking
number
while you
1
can.
here for the Renegades. Taking that away from Rubu, but you're going to get him on the Ash, who he's proven time and time again that he can play just as effectively. And Shattered Desert's such an interesting map in that we always see these almost big rotations kind of around the outside. There's almost 2 engagements going on either side of the point. The point tanks might end up getting on there and fighting one another, but it kind of lends itself to interesting play styles, interesting choices. Not necessarily on the side of Envy coming out to play just yet. Ash and Barrack are going to be 2 pretty tried and true tanks, so not really reaching for anything there. But now Renegades with their 2nd and 3rd pick could potentially show a little bit of their hand. That is the thought.
There's so much.
There's got to because Shattered Desert. I guess what I was trying to say is that Shattered Desert lends itself to potentially so many different play styles that it's hard to kind of figure out what one team is going to play. I feel like the only thing I would count out are like Strix and Kness on this map, but even then I might get surprised.
It's the triple threat. It's a brand new map. It's a meta that is very undefined right now, and it's very open. So it's like, damn, you really can kind of do so much here. But right now, aggression is defining this meta, I think, more than any other adjective. So that's what I'm going to stick with here. They're grabbing little damage Yampy comp, very, very safe dive potential here with Xin. I love that combined with Genos. I think he's very hard for Ruckus to bully out. Right now, Ruckus doesn't have a lot of great targets, I'll be honest with you, unless he gets on top of the Genos, which is not likely given the 20-plus streak that Mr. Hayes was able to pull, maybe even a broken 30, I can't exactly remember it. But he played great on Genos, so right now, Ruckus, not a lot
Well, they're going to go right back to the
You
Mave on
trespass and are
Renegades, and
unwanted,
Vocal
stranger.
playing the Cat Burglar Mave to great effect. The Midnight, like we said, it really threw the Knights through a loop here, and they get the Inara as well.
Shaolin.
So they've definitely got their game plan figured out on the side of Renegades. Envy is going to flip their final card here for us to take a look at. Shaolin spoke it into existence. Shazin it is.
I'm the
for
best,
Envy.
man. I did it.
How do you feel about both these? Both, assuming it's going to be the Shaolin, how do you feel?
Assuming it's going to be
We've
the
been
Shaolin,
tricked. We've been tricked.
It's
So
the
it
one
is.
thing
Dust
that
in the
Ruckus
wind.
can really bully out in this composition, and I think it is up to what is the Rock Monkey's going to play Shaolin. It's a flex. Zin's a flex, right? It could be Rock, could be random, but
That's
with
true.
Shaolin, we know that it's going to be random on Zin most likely.
Right.
So it's up to Rock to play safe. This one he's the question mark here. He's the one that is going to have to perform. Everyone else has good characters and good matchups.
Well, and Vocal's going to blank things out on the side of Envy. Envy with a 2-0 lead here in our second set of the day. We kind of say it, if you go down 3-0, the reverse sweep is incredibly hard to do. So Envy, definitely not out of the question for the Renegades, but Envy looking to snag win number 3 and be one map away from breaking the losing streak, getting things back on track. The Renegades looking for a little bit of what they found yesterday. They found 3 maps in a row against the Knights and nearly took it. Game 7 it was yesterday. Looking to do more of the same here today are the Renegades, but Shattered Desert is the map. Some interesting champions on either side. Evan, Gore, have some fun.
Oh, we sure will. I love this map. It's almost like a shattered dessert, as Gore would
I
put
have
it.
that in pen in my notebook.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live with that shame forever.
It's delicious. And what a treat after 2 really interesting games. And that's the word I'm going to use to describe him. Interesting.
Interesting. I'm going to say it this way
Slug shot.
right out the beginning. If Envy do not shape up, this is going to be a 4 over Renegades. I think this Mave looked so good yesterday.
That's true.
I think Moonchopper looks really good on this Ruckus. I think Invocal looks really good on this Mave. I think they have what it takes to win this map. It depends on which Envy we're getting. Are we getting Envy from week 1 or are we getting Envy from last game?
Maeve and Vocal both have the same hair length as well, so that could be a sign.
We should convince Invocal to dye his hair pink and straighten it out.
Or blue, as he has in this skin
Oh,
right
this-
here.
that would
Right
work
in the
too.
Paladin strike skin, I believe. Kind of a rarer one.
He could circumvent it all by getting the Rave Mave helmet, but
Wow, risky.
he goes up and over.
He still hits about 1,000 damage onto the healer, but Rock Monkey able to do the thing. He got aggressive, and I like it. Does the hop thing, gets the double kill, and it's all red on the kill feed. Renegades, they are without really anything to do on the point.
I mean, being able to come in, control it, and be very, very happy with this. I think Envy are in control. They just need to do whatever they can.
And Hi-Res Expo. Make sure you grab your tickets now if you want to see all this happen live.
Yeah.
Hi-Res Expo 2019. Get your tickets at highresexpo.com. Team Envy, 99% and counting, trying to push this one through. And the overtime will get ticked by Hero, but another hop thing, and Rock Monkey this time is going to back off. Job's been already completed. Nice little whirl combo into the billet to stay safe, and Envy will begin their push.
And this is what I expect when it comes out of Envy. It's still a little sloppier than I would expect in this kind of set, but they're getting there, right? They're starting to feel more confident about it, and that's what I think has been lacking in my eyes. It's not their play. I feel like their confidence has been lacking. I feel like I haven't seen them making those stellar plays like they normally do. They haven't seen them making their stellar plays like they normally do. And because of that, they don't know if they can still do it.
Oh, I mean, 100%. You start to question yourself when the performances change. I mean, it's if you're doing anything at a high level and you suddenly drop and there are eyes on you, there's not a human being in the world that wouldn't at least initially have the thought of saying, wait, did I fall off? Did I change? Can I do it again? I'm not seeing that result, so how do I know? You know, and that's where belief comes in, and you know, that's where those greater things that keep people going in the down times. You know, it's where you see your true test of character. Right now, we're going to see another true test of the characters, is if they can run into that dome shield and finish off Random Noob. And my guess is that they will all fail that test, but luckily, they'll get a pop quiz and have them pop out, get a kill that way.
I mean, that's probably the easiest pop quiz they've ever had to
Yeah,
go
seriously.
You're just, what's the answer? Mave Deck. not even very difficult for Invocal. He knew exactly what he needed when he needed it. But now, getting kind of locked down. That's actually going to be big. Assert Dominance used, a minute left. So Rubu can charge it up if they can get a kill. And actually right there, Viral left out to dry.
Big min-max there because he misses one auto and Viral probably slithers away or gets around the corner. And then you got to chase him for another 4 or 5 seconds. You never know if you get the kill because then Gord comes up. But really good stuff from Rubu. Everyone seems to really have their ideas on how to make this map work. And this was probably the most unique way. This is one of the more memorable matches from yesterday, Gord, that I'm pretty sure Envy paid a lot of attention to. Expecting the Mave today, absolutely. Knowing how to deal with it, it seems so.
And being able to lock things down like that, that's, I think, the thing that has always made Envy have that strength. It's always the thing that's made them shine bright. It's part of the reason they were able to become world champions, is because they pay attention to the footage, they pay attention to what's been going on, and they adapt. And I can't think of a better adaptation than I've seen to Shaolin not being seen anywhere near the meta, to Rock Monkey being able to dominate with it.
Yeah, I mean, did you really need the Heat Haze Rock? I mean, there's a lot of things going on underneath, man. There's emotions flying for both these teams. You don't, the min-max, it's out the window. That is like not even close to a conversation in this set. Both teams are just trying to win as fast and as hard as they can, because what matters at the end of the day is the W or loss column for them, as it has been a tough couple of weeks.
Probably the roughest you could go through. If they,
I think for both teams.
Right now, I think, up 2-0, this is going to be very deep in the hypothetical. But if Envy lost this set, then it's not only 4 different sets that you've lost, arguably 3 of those against what are the top 3 teams right now. But then you lose to Renegades at the very end of it all, and that's when you start to bring everything back inward. You have to wonder, what are we doing wrong? Like, what's going on that we haven't done? And I feel like they've started to do that, and that's why we're seeing them bounce back a little bit today. But it's been a very slow, gradual bounce back. I feel like they needed a snapback. They needed a 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0 to be able to find this, and now it's just
they seem pretty
slowly
close
getting
to it.
there.
Yeah, I mean, and what's interesting is if you're ready for the Mave, if you're prepared for the Mave, and if you deal with that, it's like the Pip, right? I mean, if you could have dealt with Payne's Pip, that was the thing that was making it so deadly on the side of Pittsburgh, that it wasn't being dealt with. But Envy seemed to have, I mean, all hands on deck. They know exactly. I mean, this is the first feel like Midnight that tried to even be meaningful, and a counter seals the deal. Billow just to be safe. And Envy, I think they're going to get this one, Gore. It's going to be 3-0 and looking to be a 4-0 very quickly.
I mean, with this amount of control, like you said, they know what they're getting into, and I think they have the perfect champions to deal with it.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, Ruckus has some issues when it comes down to like dealing with Cassie, right? But I feel like Ruckus and Mave and Leon all have very large issues having to deal with a Zen, just because of the fact that he just has the get out of jail free card if he doesn't win his first fight.
Oh man, and I mean the Luminary's in as well. This is some Random Noob brought out a lot. I mean, last year during that run, and his EV was phenomenal. His Drogos, his Bomb King. I mean, these are all staples to his champion pool, and Zen was another one. And he's looking like he's on form again today. And sometimes you just don't see it, and it's a common term in soccer where you're not on form. And I think Random Noob yesterday, and maybe for the last week or so, he even mentioned in Twitter, I'm feeling off, guys. And it's transition living here and away from everything I know, all the people in my community, not having that circle of, to lift you back up when things are down. It's tough, man. But today, it has been a different story.
I mean, even right now, this is where they start making the strides. This is what I wanted to see in Game 1. They're doing it in Game 3. but it's never too late to be able to showcase it off. 12 streak right now, burning for Random Noob, 24 for Mr. Hayes, and honorable mentions, Tulky, 20 streak, doing insane work on that bear.
Yeah, and I think the team that's going to have something happen, right? It feels like it's much more shifting towards the side of Renegades, where they're going to have to get a real measure as to who they are, what's going on. You know, seeing them today in the building, you may have said, you know, they're looking bright in the booth. I thought I saw quite a bit of, there's some drama outside of this going on. Let's put it that way. And nothing is secure for them, and I think they know that, they feel that way, and it's really been hard to stay consistent in this matchup. Obviously, Envy now 3-0. It's only one more game left, and they'll be closing this one out to end the day.
Definitely feeling good after that one. The most convincing win we've seen out of Envy thus far today. Actually, today, I think in general, we've seen only 4 2s and 4 3s up to this point. So the first 4-0 of the day. Envy needed that one, I think. I mean, Rock Monkey, again, playing out of his mind. I know the Shaolin was kind of, hey, is this going to work out? How's it going to look? Well, it ended up looking great.
The question mark turned into an exclamation point.
They just unbent the top.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much there. Rock definitely had probably the best Shaolin performance that I've seen in the PPL. Phoenix had a really good one as well. I definitely want to shout him out. He's been playing well on this character, but after being up so much on Bright Marsh, to lose that one, especially with like 2 big tank ultimates up as well, it felt like a blundered loss, and that's where things get tough. Like, to come into this game off a hard loss, and that's where momentum becomes a conversation for the Renegades. They had that game. They had Bright Marsh in their hands, and they fumbled it.
Mr. Tulky, 14-1 as well on the Barrack. But you have to, honestly, I mean, if we're looking at Renegades, we're kind of chatting about them. Tulky with a great game on the Barrack, but you have to look back to like yesterday. The Renegades had a 3-game lead and then aren't able to convert on Serpent Beach 3 separate times, and then they end up losing the whole set.
So what's the comeback game looking like, I guess is what you're asking.
Right.
Well,
I don't know.
We'll see.
We don't know how they come back.
So far, nobody's come back from the 3-0 lead. I don't think in any competitive thing ever in a best of 7.
You don't think ever? There's definitely been reverse. I think the Red Sox reverse sweeped the Yankees in 2004.
Oh, there you go.
Was
it a World Series?
It was like the ALCS or something like that.
Give me the final sweep.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a big LeBron guy, so 3-1 against the Warriors. Best comeback of all time.
Never forget, Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, they did.
Wait, did the Renegades blow a 3-1 lead yesterday?
Oh my God, the Renegades of the Warriors.
Oh no. Oh, Frog Island is 4-0. I just realized that. 4-1, 4-3, 4-0. Unfortunately, can't go any more one-sided than that. Envy looking to round it out here on Frog Isle. They had a pretty good Frog Isle game yesterday, I recall. Looking to do more of the same here today. So looking at Frog Isle as a map, you typically see snipers here. See the EVs and the Drogoses potentially trying to counter that out. So that's probably what we expect, to see from either team here.
Down for the snipers, for sure. I think right now Invoco and Rock, give me a second to think here. Invoco and Rock are probably the closest to Tenor at the moment in terms of behind the scope for the PPL.
I agree. No, I agree with you.
I think I would give it their way. So that's why this is going to be a very exciting game for them. For those characters, none of them banned out. Envy have the choice to, if they want. If there's only one sniper available, it becomes a hot commodity. But if there's both of them available, then they tend to go later in the draft.
I'm wondering with...
but they're always the linchpin. It's always like, all right, well, where does Eevee go? Because the Eevee, where she goes, depends, kind of like that sort of thing.
I mean, if Envy choose to ban out, say, the Kinessa there, you're basically asking Renegades, well, are you going to first pick her, or are you going to potentially leave her to us? Although we've seen some of the snipers fall down lower and lower in some of these drafts, so not necessarily exactly what happened, but it's going to be the Inara. Both snipers still on the board. We've seen people favoring Kinessa over Strix in the past.
Form up and follow me in.
But you imagine that either or will work for these teams if that's the route they choose to go. They're going to pick up the Eevee, which honestly, in a weird way, I think is almost more contested on a map like Frog Isle. Who's going to get the Eevee that can dive the sniper that's potentially coming out later? in Envy pick her up.
And it's so tough to first pick that as well, because it's just Eevee's never really been quite the first pick. I think you ban it.
No,
if
it's true.
If it's pissing you off, you get rid of it. You don't really first pick it in any scenarios. So the Renegades do have the option to go for Kinessa if they're feeling themselves. And Kinessa usually is the priority sniper when it's available. So that's where I think they'd go. And I do think that both Rock and Invoke will prefer that over Strix. And that will be the way that they do go this time around. Having another Grover. A lot of Grover today from the Renegades.
Grover's seen some play on Frog Isle as well. He's done just fine on this map, especially when you pair him with the Inara. She's going to be basically standing on the point anyway. As long as the Grover stays around her, fighting around those pillars around the point, you can make good use of that kit. So I think the Grover pick here is just fine. On the opposite side, though, you look at Envy. They have the Eevee, so they have one damage dealer. You imagine they'll go tank healer here if that's the direction they choose. If they want the Strix to come out later on, at least you imagine that can wait since Kinessa's up on the other side. But could see there's the healer, so they're going to snag the Damba as well as the Barrack. So healer tank it is. Still have one slot open on their side. Could be the Strix. Liana's still around if they'd rather do that.
I was thinking Genos Barrack there. I mean, they have the Eevee, and at this point, Barrack scales so well with the Luminary damage, and Ashe is an aggro frontliner, which tends to do a little bit better with Genos, just being able to go off on her own and put a ton of distance between her and her support, not be too worried about it. One thing I am looking at again for this Grover is the Cripple is very good against Ashe and against Eevee, so Viral is going to have to be on point with those right clicks to make sure that he locks down Eevee and Ashe. There's the Shaolin. Potential double snipe coming out here in a way. There it is. Shaolin will be locked in.
There's a lot of contingency on hitting your shots on the side of Renegades over there.
So it does do this. I will say that now Eevee has to be worried because she could get just exploded if she dies when it. Now there's so much potential damage from a Kinessa and a Strix hitting you at the same time. But you really got to kind of watch your step if you're random noob. You're not going to have Luminary. You're not going to have a Genos heal or something. You might not have a pocket going in. So there is that. If they do hit your shots, you're right, it is almost entirely on the Renegades. But if they do, it's going to hurt.
Well, both teams got some snipers coming out. It's game 4. So let's take a look at our casters.
There you go. There's the look. Got to make sure the jacket's buttoned.
It's for Dave. He just wanted to take a look, so we're just.
All right, you got to give him the full.
You got to give him. You got to give him this.
Like the.
You know, the mid-action. All right, now can we cast?
No.
I'm sick of being treated like an object here, Gore. I want to just talk. I don't want to just be looked at. I'm more than that. I can't believe Dave doesn't get it. Especially going on his favorite map, Frog Isle. And the Bongos playing. It's a risky bet. Envy say, we'll give you the Kinessa and Vocal. You're not that good at it. Oh, wait. Now they got to perform.
I think this is going to be the big one. It is Rock Monkey versus Invocal. It is, can Shadow put enough pressure on Rock Monkey or Random Noob to be able to alleviate the pressure off of Invocal? There's a lot of dancing that's going to be done around the side of the map, looking more towards ramp side, statue side, trying to do whatever the dance they can. It's going to be Tolkien versus Hero on the point. Moonchopper probably playing ramp side with his Shaolin to try and keep things pressured out. But who's going to hit these shots is the biggest question of them all.
And I think, you know, that's really what it comes down to half the time. I think at the other side of it, it's sometimes the draft, but this one seems to be pretty even for both of them. Creating a lot of pressure on both sides. Random Noob, 1,300. He's got 500 left to work with. He's going to wait and get healed up before he goes back in. There's a little bit of a stealth, but he gets poked out before, and Rock Monkey finds the early kill, and that's going to be enough for Envy to kind of start pushing back.
And that's that dance you need, right? If you know Random Noob can't get to the backline, can't get to Invocal because he's bogged down in a fight with this Shaolin. Shaolin can't get to you because he's bogged down in a fight with Random Noob. You just got to change it. You can see Rock Monkey kind of alleviating, or changing his angle, I should say, to alleviate pressure off of one area. Kinessa's not looking at him anymore over here, and he can see right to that ramp side, see exactly where that Shaolin's going to peek his head, and pop it just like that.
And overtime ticking away here. Absolutely love it. The way that Envy are able to, you know, kind of bounce back after a couple of bad starts to the set. And Random Noob starting to get a little bit better, but you better watch out. And he does. He certainly pays attention, switches targets. They find the kill on the Viral there.
This has been a very good switch from Envy. from game 1 and 2
they've changed
to
quite a
games
bit.
3 and 4. And like again, I don't know if there was a meta pusher like TM pep talk that came through or what, but whatever they changed, whatever has clicked for them in Shattered Desert and here on Frog Isle is making a big difference. Renegades, if you had told me after the first 2 games, swept back, they Envy win 2 maps and then lose 4 in a row, I'd have believed it, honestly. But this does not look like a team that can win.
That's just too much value. I mean, you can't get 2, and your healer and your DPS.
He's about to get 3. Oh, no, he's in the base.
Yeah, it was hopeful. And,
He wanted it.
Invokel's a great shot, but there is more to that. It is playing as that unit. It is having a game plan beyond the aggressiveness. And we have not seen that thus far. Probably the best moment was that Shadow tip on Bright Marsh. That really, I don't know, threw Envy for a loop for a while.
I mean, trying to throw him for a loop now, but this is where Frog Isle gets awkward. This is part of the reason the size on this map can mean so much for a 4-0. You don't have many places you're hiding.
No.
There's not many places. You are behind wall, this
Can't
rock,
stabilize
or
this
you're
one.
dancing around this area where you're seeing Rubu kind of get this control. There's really nowhere to go, and once they have eyes on you, they can keep you locked down. If Rock Monkey is hitting shots the way he is right now, even if they're not headshots, it's just 1,200 damage you have to deal with all of a sudden. 1,200 damage is so much for anybody.
Yeah, and you know, with the collapse, with the pressure, you could tell, man, it really is Envy needing to get some confidence back, because it's just been such a tough run. Three losses in a row against 3 good teams, albeit, but it doesn't feel any better for these guys. They're trying to be the best, and you know, to have that testy matchup against Renegades and know, is this our level? Is this where we are now? And then to have these 2 games and say, no, guys, we are above and beyond. We haven't been playing our game. We need to get back to it. That's been, I am pretty sure, phenomenal for them.
Yeah, and I can't think of a better way to step back to it than to say, we only had 2 deaths that round. And admittedly, it's on the person who's probably the most likely to die. 1,800 health on Eevee. She's playing again on the left-hand side, the ramp side, statue side, where you're going to have Invokel looking. You're going to have Shadow looking. You're going to have a lot of danger, and you just don't have the health to withstand it. If you get stunned out right here, if you get caught out like Rubu, it's going to be a bad news Bears.
And, man, there's 2 really low targets, man. They've traded out now. And this is just like not the best min-maxing if they don't trade out on
Nice
this.
shot.
He finds Moonchopper there, and there's only 3 members of the Renegades alive and well, already taking half health, and Invokel forced to go back. And they're going to use this time to go on to Shadow. It's just a trade, but that's enough for Random Noob. That will delay the ability for Renegades to get back on very much.
Rock Monkey decides to peek over towards top of the wall, out of window. Just a little too soon, but it's okay. There's going to be a flashbang. There's going to be the pressure. He connects with that onto the front line. Even though he has 260 health, he's still having a presence on the fight.
Rubu here as well. Perfect spot because he can contest everyone from here, and he's not in threatened range of being hurt by anybody. Beautiful min-max between the shield, forward and back, and he's going to use that shoulder bash to, again, create the space, create the centering of those members on Renegades to just be pummeled on all sides. And it's a 3-0. And last point here to close out the set.
So those first 2 games to me, Renegades, they walk out on a tightrope. Everything's going fine. And then they hit that 3rd map and they start to wobble.
Yeah.
And they fall.
Gore.
And they're still falling in this map.
I love that metaphor, but to me, the way I saw Renegades do this is they sprinted out on the tightrope. They literally just went, I'm going to try to sprint across it, then try to slowly walk and like measure my way. And they get about halfway through. But then they lose their balance, tumble, and immediately just fall. And that to me is what these last 2 4-0s have looked like. They just, I mean, not really doing much.
Yeah.
It's all Envy.
The style of play that was helping them contest maps 1 and 2, even if it gets them a defense here, is not enough to win a point. Like, you have to change it map to map. I feel like the maps we saw it on, specifically for Bright Marsh, I think aggression can kind of give you more pressure than you would see on this, because there's more avenues to hide in, more walls to get, like, kind of divide the team and separate the fights into 1v1s, 2v2s. Whereas here, I mean, you're either in a 3v3 really far back and off to the side, or you're in the 5v5 in the middle.
And you know what, for Envy, man, it's got to feel good. Going up to bat 3 times, striking out 3 times, and this time finally getting that homer that they needed, a win for the boys. Maybe count your chickens before they hatch, but I can't see this unfolding any different way. A double kill for Random Noob TV. Invokel's going to try to snipe, but I'm not sure if you can snipe all 5 members of your former world champions. They're still defending until somebody else takes it away from them. They may have some rough patches matches, but they get the win here, and they are very happy for it.
I think definitely still some things to break down when they go back, be able to watch over this and figure out what's going on. But those last 2 maps definitely looked a lot cleaner and a lot more like the Envy I expected to see today. I'm excited to see what they can do coming into next week, but there's still some polish that needs to be done.
And this is why Renegades really wanted that win against Pittsburgh yesterday, because this one was going to be tough no matter how you sliced it. Envy back in the winners column here as we send it back to the desk to close out the day.
4-0 for your boys in blue. They do it big here today. And Nick, I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered on their side. I think not only do they need to win today, but winning big like this, they said it well, I think, in the booth. They still have some stuff to go back and break down. They'll have plenty of stuff to look at from this week. But what really matters is on their heart, they have a 4-0 win.
And they don't play next week.
Right.
So that's all the more important for this win. They get to go into the weekend on a W. They don't have to sit on an 0-4 streak for a week and a half, 2 weeks at this point. So a good win certainly for Envy. I think their faces kind of said like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got that win, but still, we got problems certainly to work on here. We got stuff that we got to take care of. They weren't like overjoyed, I think, because again, all of these losses for Envy were like, well, they were supposed to win. This should just be business as usual, but it wasn't. They were taking these L's, finally getting this dub here. 4-0-2, there's really like, there's no Mars on that record, you know what I mean? That's very good for your map differential as well, which is another thing that Envy are going to need to fix up going into these later weeks. You only need top 6 to come out of this one to get to the MSI to qualify for the Premier League.
Right.
So I think that's probably where their sights are set at this point.
That's a good place to look. Random Noob on the Eevee, rounding things out here on Frog Isle. Taking a peek at the post-game stats. 62K damage for the Strix. Evan plays peekaboo with us here. Random Noob TV, 45,000. Look at Tolkien, though. 55K for the man on the barrack as well. The Orange Tormund, the man.
I like it. I mean,
56,000. 6-0-11.
They're getting in there. Rubu and Tolkien this time, I really feel, did a lot to win that game. They put way too much pressure on this back line. There's not enough mobility between Shaolin and Kinessa. There was just no way that those two could have hoped to get anything done with that much pressure in their face.
Well, let's take a look back at this week, week 4 of the PPL. Renegades, Pittsburgh, meet in match number 1. Pittsburgh takes that one. Space Station taking our second game of Thursday. Space Station taking our first game of Friday in similar fashion. And Envy on the bounce back with a 4-0 win here against Renegades. It was a pretty fun week of the PPL, I think, Nick. It was a pretty telling week as far as kind of teams fleshing themselves out. Renegades looked actually not too horrible in either of their games this week. We'll look at the standings as well and see where those results take us. NIP still up top. Space Station, Na'Vi, Virtus Pro round out 2, 3, and 4. And Envy, Pittsburgh, Kanga, Renegades round out the rest of it. So I like what I saw this week. You see Renegades down at the bottom, needing to find some things to bounce back on. I think that Envy will be happy with how they played today. Look at what we have in store for next week. Ninjas in Pajamas and Virtus Pro getting back in the swing of things. Na'Vi and Kanga as well. Nick, what do you see on Friday from next week?
Very, very excited here. VP Na'Vi is sure to be a really good one. Both of these teams, or I guess I should say VP and Kanga, both of those teams have changed so much since week 1, week 2, that I'm very, very curious to see. And also Na'Vi coming back, losing to this, what is now looking like a weak Team Envy.
Right.
I'm very curious to see how Na'Vi looks against the rest of this now very evolved pack.
I agree. We haven't gotten the chance to see them play.
I feel like it's like probably week 6 is after week 6 is done. That's probably when everyone will have played everyone, and that's the week that I'm really excited for.
Definitely, I agree. Well, standing by with us on an interview, getting back to the winner circle interview, we have some guys from Envy standing by, so let's send it on over to them to hear their thoughts.
Well, hey guys, congratulations on your 4-0 victory, but I kind of want to wind it back. The last 2 maps, you look like the Envy we all know and love, but the first 2 maps, things were a little more rough. You have those one was a 4-1, but it felt like it took a little longer than the 4-3 on Brightmarsh. What was exactly going on for those 2 games?
Well, this is no surprise, but the past 3 games, or past 4 sets, we've been on the struggle bus, obviously, so it's obviously those first 2 maps are trying to regain confidence, trying to find our stride and trying to find what works for us. And as we slowly get through the set, we're trying to figure out and slowly figuring out what does work for us. And and that's why probably look was closer than it was.
What has this time period been like? You know, behind the scenes, everyone's obviously aware that things are different. You have taken some of your first losses and then in succession, and it's felt like we're slipping. We can't really kind of get our footing. Today's a good start in that, but for those just watching, you know, what's been the biggest road bump here? Is it taking that first loss and bouncing back? Is it something within the team? Is it the difference in being at LAN, away from family? I mean, what do you guys think is contributing the most to, you know, this time period?
I definitely think losing our first few matches kind of put a dent in our confidence, but I think that's something that we're trying to slowly regain back. But other than that, I think being away from homes is definitely affecting a few of our players, but I don't think it's a big reason why we're struggling. I think the meta change is definitely something that we have to adjust to and figure out what we want and what works for us, like Tolkien was saying. But I think that's about it.
So some of the champions that you guys have been bringing in, specifically like playing the Fernando where other teams hadn't in week 1, has now kind of made its way around. But things like the Pip that was very, very strong for Random Noob in the past hasn't quite been able to click. Is it just like you said, kind of catching up on the meta, or is there something that's going on for some of the top teams that you haven't quite figured out yet?
I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't quite figured out yet, but I think it's more of us just trying to find what works for us, and I think moving away from Pip and kind of picking more aggressive comps worked out better for us, and I think we're probably going to keep doing that.
Well, congratulations once again on your 4-0. Nice to see you guys back on the winning side of the booth, but thank you for your time.
The Paladins Premier League, brought to you by Skillshot.